Okay, so the good thing about being last of four is you follow a business that's got great vision on disability and helping disabled people. You've got people who are looking after millennials and mobile only and doing great stuff there. You get the leading job board in Poland doing some great technology. And I just think, my presentation looks pretty shit compared to that, to be quite honest with you. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to talk around my presentation a little bit, and all I can do is just tell you about my experience of the niche world, what we do. Some of the stuff that we do I haven't put in here because I think some of these guys have spoke about it really well. I knew what they were going to be speaking about. But just to give you a bit of a background on our business and myself, my first foray into niche job boards was in 1998 when I helped set up, as part of the business that set up JustEngineers. So I don't know if anybody knows that business. But it was very early days. I'd only just started using email, didn't really know anything about the web, similar to your story earlier. But we were using generic job boards in an engineering recruitment business, and it was just one of these, at the time, people are going to want to look at niche opportunities. There wasn't many niche job boards out there at all. Long story short, we set up JustEngineers, grew that business really well, no idea how. I think it was probably a first mover advantage because the way we did it then is definitely not the way we would do it now, regardless of technology changing and stuff like that. I left that business in 2003 and went out completely on my own and set up Simply Jobs boards. And the first sites that we set up were Simply Sales Jobs and Simply Marketing Jobs. Probably not the best decision. Not that sales and marketing weren't industries that weren't being served by niche niche job boards, but there was two issues with it. One, it wasn't a definable marketplace. Every business recruits sales or marketing people, so it's very difficult to understand who is a target audience, whether it be sales candidates or clients. So moving forward, we then sort of looked at areas that we could define, which is where Simply Law Jobs was launched, was bought in 2007. In Automotive was set up around the same sort of time. Aviation Job Search was an acquisition for the larger business that eventually bought Simply Jobs boards in 2005. And Simply Engineering Jobs is a new job board that we've launched. That we're sort of playing around with at the moment. We're doing some different things. A lot of the stuff that's been talked about today, fairly comforting, is some of the stuff that we're going to be doing on that as well. So Aviation Job Search generates 500,000 to 600,000 visits a month, and anywhere between 60 and 80,000 applications a month. In Automotive is 150 to 200,000 visits a month, generating anywhere between 15 and 20,000 applications a month. Obviously very seasonal, or say quite seasonal. Simply Law Jobs is 140, 150,000 visits a month, generating 12,000 applications on average. And Simply Sales and Marketing, as a joint, don't generate a lot of traffic for us. These are the sites that we're competing with, the generic job boards, we're competing with aggregators, we're competing with a lot of other sites. They do quite well for us, but they're not the real focus areas of our business, in truth. So when the business was acquired a while ago, my role within the business changed for about 18 months, 2 years. And I became Chief Operating Officer of Friday Media Group, which meant I moved away from the job board for a while, day to day. But there's a few things that happened whilst I was away. Whilst I was still involved in it. There was lots of changes, so I think we lost our way a little bit, and the Jobseeker wasn't king. The client was king. The business grew year on year in decent numbers as well, revenue-wise, but we lost the view that Jobseeker was king, and we also become very, very lazy. We were the ones who fed all our jobs into Indeed. We were the ones who were measuring our organic traffic as Indeed organic traffic, all the time knowing this is going to bite us in the backside big time. And it did. And in all truth, whilst it was horrible at the time, I won't even deny that, A lot of other aggregators have done quite well out of us since. But also, it actually made us look at the business and say, we have been lazy. We need to do things a lot better if we're going to continue to grow in a very, very competitive market. We're not just not just competing with generic job boards. We're not just competing with other niche job boards. We are competing with the Indeed. We are competing with Google for Jobs. Search traffic was 80 to 85% of our traffic at one time. That's slowly but surely reducing. Not necessarily because we've done anything wrong, it's because the landscape's changed. Google for Jobs has made it a lot more difficult now. So we had to get a lot better at this and realise our ethos that the job seeker is king. But because we're niche, we can't just put signage on buses. And as much as it annoys my CCV library every time I get to Euston Station, I see the branding and all the rest of it, it just wouldn't work for us because we are niche. We're niche into the areas that we work. So we've got to be, and I'm not saying any of the other businesses aren't clever, but we've got to be very clever to make sure that we are niche, so we need to act niche. And we haven't done that for quite a while. And I think that means that the UX on our sites is paramount, whether it be categorization. So, for example, a pilot, it's not just a pilot, it is a pilot who's piloted a 747, he's got so many hours working in those areas. We have to be really sort of clear about that. The user journey has to be different on each of our sites. Now, I'm not saying that we've got this absolutely right, but it's where we need to really sort of focus our efforts. And there's variances we spoke earlier about not having interviews or sending CVs for millennials and stuff like that. That's absolutely right. There's variances in job seeker requirements by niche, and we have to really focus on that. How lawyers and legal people interact with the site is completely different to how a vehicle technician or a car mechanic would do it, and we have to make sure that we work like that. The title's wrong on there. What we do well, it's not really. It's what our challenges are really. As I say, and this has been spoken about quite a lot this morning, and which is quite pleasing really, because it gives me a bit of faith that we're actually on the right track. Because we're niche, we have to engage with very specific job seekers. As I say, it's not good enough for us just to blanket spread and throw enough crap at the wall, some of it's going to come back to us. It's just not good enough. It's what we've done previously, but it's just not good enough really. We have to go where the job seekers look, even if they don't know the job seekers. Is what Richard was talking about earlier. Building out the network of places that people will see your site and see your offering when they're not even looking for a job. Now, we've got a lot of work to do on this, in all truth, but it's something that is really starting to bear fruit for us. And I think the other thing that we had to do well is not try and be all things to all people, even within the niches. So, as an example, on our In Automotive site, our focus on there is vehicle technicians, it is parts managers, it is car salespeople, it's dealer principals, it's really specific roles. We do offer finance roles, we offer office roles, we offer reception roles, we offer all that, but that's not what makes us niche. You know, with respect, you know, people can hire those people from Indeed, they can hire those people from any generic job board, anywhere they want. They can hire them from us. Our biggest client on In Automotive give us the usual, we'll test you with one job, which was a finance director role. Luckily, they actually filled that role through In Automotive, but that was luck. So in each of our niches, we have to be very focused, not only in the categories that we look at, be it, I say, pilots, vehicle technicians, solicitors, whatever it may be within the niches that we operate in, but also in the locations. There is certain areas of the UK that are really buoyant for these areas, which is where the car dealers are, where obviously around airports and things like that. So we don't try and be all things to all people within a niche. We just try and be really, really good at areas that are very niche to that industry. And again, it's comforting to know that it's been spoken about quite a lot at the moment, that we work with a lot of partners as part of the spreading the net, if you will, that serve these niche areas. So we power the job boards and a lot of association and industry sites. a lot of publications. We power their job board. We deliver them content. They deliver us content. But this is where all the pilots go. This is where the vehicle technicians, this is where these specialist people go, as I say, when they're not actually looking for a job. They don't even know they're looking for a job. And I think if there's one thing that I think we have done really well, it sounds like I'm putting us down. We're actually quite a good business, so I do sound like I'm putting us down. But one of the areas that I think has made a real big difference to us is the content generation that's not just job listings. I can't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned this earlier on today. And again, it was one of those, yeah, okay. We've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort producing content to help job seekers engage with clients, to help them to understand how to apply for a job. There's a lot of industries still where people don't understand how you go about applying for a job on a job board, what the best things to do, best practice, whether it be a decent CV, whether it be how to present yourself. There's a lot of practical information which probably a lot of us in this room will say, well, it's obvious. It's not, actually. And we had none of this information on our site. We had nothing to help people in that industry. And you can see a lot of it is tailored. I've only given a few screenshots here, but a lot of it is absolutely tailored right down to the job level. So information for a paralegal is completely different to somebody who's got 10 years family law experience. But we spent a hell of a lot of time and effort doing that. And the work that's been done on the blogs and feeding out content is in excess of 15% of our applications come from this type of work, which is a huge number. In all truth, I didn't even realise it was that many. But 15% of our applications across all of our sites comes from work like this, either, just to be clear, either assisted or direct. So they've looked at this information, they've downloaded it, they've looked at it, and then they've come back and actually applied for a job. It's making a huge difference to us, but there's a lot of effort gone into this. And we are spending a lot more time and resource on industry events, and it's paying dividends without a shadow of a doubt. And it does have a B2B benefit as well. We do generate some money out of it, which is nice. Future technology, this is where I've not really gone into detail for a number of different reasons. One, I don't want to tell everybody everything. But also, some of these guys have spoke about it much, much better than I ever would, because they clearly are very, very good at it. But it's clear that a lot of these things that I've got on here, you probably look at going, yeah, everyone talks about that. Yeah, absolutely, but how many people are actually using chatbots to improve conversion? We've got to help job seekers, I'm only talking from our perspective, we've got to help job seekers ask questions about specific roles. If a customer hasn't put down that they're looking for somebody with 200 flying hours on a 747, they can ask that question. And the test that we did on this, it's well worth doing. Text technology, again, been spoken about quite a bit. I was at TA Tech in, I don't know, I'm allowed to talk about that. But I was in New Orleans last month, and there's a couple of businesses out there doing text technology very, very well. And I was also at another event yesterday, which was all in-house recruiters. And all they talked about is the ability to be able to text and converse with job seekers via text. Some of them will go in even so far down the line to say, the first time we actually want to speak to a job seeker is when they're in front of us. Now, I'm not sure that's for all businesses personally, but that's obviously the way things are going. CV job matching technology, given that we're a job board, we've got two main offerings, although employer branding seems to be something we need to pay a bit more of attention to. We advertise jobs and we let you use our CV database. We let customers use our CV database. But you have to have decent technology to do that, and fairly intuitive technology that not only allows you to search CVs, but also allow them to match against job descriptions. Some companies, some other job boards do that well, so other job boards don't. We've spent a lot of time and effort and resource on doing this right. It makes, when you upload your CV, if you can be fed instantly jobs, if you can be emailed or text jobs immediately that match that, it makes your job a lot easier. And also it makes sure that we get good response for our customers. And one of the things I was thinking earlier when the HR panel was on, and I don't mean to be controversial when I say this, but what sometimes we get jobs put on and customers say, I'm sure the ones that they were sat here absolutely not doing this, we don't get a good response from you. We don't see we're getting good value for money. And the question that I would always ask is, do you actually see what you're putting onto the site? Look at the jobs that you're putting on there. Look at the information you're giving or you're not giving. You know, I think it's good for us, and this is to say to the customer, this job will rank fairly low on our site because you don't give basic information. But again, it's our view that we need to be able to give good job content to enable good applications and give a good service to our job seekers, given that they're 80% of our focus. And the other thing that's not on there that has been spoken about today, and I completely buy into, is pay for performance. My personal view on pay for performance is that whilst I'm moving into the B2B area, is that I think you can do both. I think you can allow for duration-based advertising, you can allow for pay-for-performance advertising, and then give the customer choice. That's just my personal view. I know that's more B2B. And that's pretty much me. I don't know what the time is like on that because I didn't actually look and see what the time was. Is that okay? That was me.